When R once stood by the fire, he held another man's stone in his hand, a stone marked with ochre and a shell, a sign that somewhere out there were other people, other lands, other paths. Back then, he had two choices: to walk with gifts or to walk with a spear. He chose the path of the conqueror. Even earlier, he had already raised a stone, not as a sign, but as a weapon, and killed the leader of a neighboring tribe. That night, two fires burned side by side, not out of agreement, but out of fear. Now all of that has come together. Two tribes became one. Old grudges lay under the snow. Old fires burned under the same rock. Now the shared camp had more voices, more hands, more eyes. R no longer ruled 19, but almost 40. For the late Paleolithic, that is a large group. Such bands could stay together for weeks and months, but only with strict order and a stable source of food. New rules appeared. Those who steal work longer. Those who break order spend the night away from the fire. Those who raise a hand against their own lose their meat. Punishment has become not cruelty, but a way to hold dozens of different tempers under a single will. Such social norms, punishment by extra labor, limits on warmth and food were a natural form of control in a world without laws or writing. Here only memory and reputation worked. And for the first time in a long while, two tribes lived in peace. But not for long. The more people gathered around the fire, the faster the animals disappeared around the camp. Every new mouth was one more piece of meat, one more hide, one more share of fat.
The hunters began to notice something strange, yet entirely natural. Pits that once yielded meat every week now lay empty. Deer skirted them, smelling blood and decay. Herds changed their routes, moving higher into the hills or deeper into the valleys. Predators, wolves, cave lions, hyenas, also began to avoid the human scent. For them, humans were not only a threat, but a signal. Here are traps. Here is death. What had once been a human trick, deep pits, sharpened stakes, branches for cover, had now become a warning for the animals. Every new day brought the same word: little. Little meat, little fat. Too few hides to replace those that were soaked through or worn out. Every new council by the fire brought the same decision: we must move on. But beyond lay cold, hunger, and death for the weak. Winter migration was always a risk. The old, the young, and the sick might not survive a long journey through the snow. R could see that the tribe was growing faster than the land around them could feed it.
One day, the snow suggested something people had not invented themselves. The deer tracks ended at a trap, but in the pit, there was no deer. A she-wolf, strong with powerful paws and yellow teeth, her fur in places soaked with blood. She had driven the prey forward, but fell into the human's pit herself. And nearby in the bushes came a thin, plaintive whine. 3 cubs, still half blind and weak with soft fur, barely able to stand on their legs but alive. The hunters wanted to leave them to die, as they had always done. Removing a predator from the land meant one less competitor. Wolves took the same prey that people hunted. But R looked at it differently. He remembered how often he had seen wolves on the hunt, how they come in from the side, how they cut off the animal's path, how they force it to run where it suits the pack. If the she-wolf could drive a deer towards people, then someday her young might do the same on humans' command. They are hunters like us. If they stay near us, we will be stronger. And so the three cubs were brought back to camp, not as prey, but as an opportunity. For archaeologists, scenes like this are not pure fantasy. On sites of late hunter-gatherers, dog and wolf bones have been found alongside human ones, sometimes even with traces of joint burial. This means that somewhere deep in the Ice Age, humans first decided not just to kill a predator, but to live beside it. Taming wolves is not about petting. It is a careful, long process where a mistake can cost a life. The cubs are fed gnawed bones and meat scraps, but not overfed, so they don't stop needing people. Kept not far from the fire, but not among the children, to avoid provoking fear or aggression. Given rags, hides, and sticks with human scent, so that smell becomes familiar. Trained to come to a specific whistle or short sound, always linked with food. Sometimes they growl and snap. Try to break free, flatten their ears, hide. But the three cubs slowly begin to accept humans as part of their small pack. They seek eye contact, reach for hands, stop flinching at loud noises. For the first time, people saw that a predator did not have to be killed. It could be changed. Such early contact between humans and wolves is one of the oldest known examples of symbiosis. Humans gave the wolf food and protection by the fire. The wolf gave humans its hearing, its sense of smell, and its speed. When the wolves grew and became stronger, R decided to try them in what mattered most. Not for a miracle, for a test of an idea. The first hunts were chaos. The wolves ran ahead too early. They spooked the herd in the wrong direction. They could drive the prey too far from the hunters. They lunged at the carcass before the humans had delivered the killing blow. But gradually, R began to understand the logic of their movement. A wolf always cuts across a path. A wolf always tries to push the animal into a narrow place, towards a ravine, a pit, a slope. A wolf responds quickly to a human shout, if meat follows. Use this. Some hunters moved along the side, downwind, so as not to give themselves away. Some waited below in a chosen hollow or old trap. The wolves replaced some of the human beaters, driving the animals where men stood ready with spears. Hunts became more successful. Instead of 1 kill out of 10 attempts, they could get 2 or 3. People took fewer risks approaching horns and hooves. But it was still not enough. 40 people is not a single family. It is almost a village of the Ice Age. Even with 3 trained wolves, one could not feed such a band for long if the game around the camp had already been hunted out. Winter was coming. Stores of fat, the main calorie bank of that time, were shrinking faster than they were replenished.
When the hunt can no longer feed you, humans begin to look to where other humans live. Scouts brought word. To the south there was a camp on a raised riverbank in a milder climate with shelters of bone and hide. The tracks told their story. They often butchered animals there, dried a lot of meat. Grease stains from carcasses streak the snow. Many paths led to the river, proof of long and successful settlement. The camp looked like what R's people could become if they only had more time and food. R thinks, if I killed the leader of a starving band and we survived, if I can defeat a well-fed tribe, we will not just survive, we will become stronger than anyone around us. Ar chose the same path he had once chosen by the fire, not exchange, but attack. He took the 3 grown wolves who already knew his voice, the best hunters who could move quietly and strike first, the strongest spears and stone points, and the knowledge of how to frighten and break an enemy's formation just as they broke the formation of a deer herd. This was not a hunt. This was the first real war for Ar's people. The Southerners' camp was well placed by a river, protected by rocks, with several entrances covered by hides. In the center, a large hearth. Around it, structures of great animal bones and wood. They did not expect an attack. Rich stores create the illusion of safety. So it has been and will be many times in history. Ar chose his time, sunset. The light was already fading. Eyes were adapting to half darkness, and the cold was driving people closer to the fire. The attack was organized like a collective hunt. Stones rolled down from above, smashing frames and forcing people to scatter. Ar's hunters came in from the flanks, from where an attack seemed least likely. The wolves rushed in front, close to the ground, their deep, drawn-out howls and growls, not yet the bark of future dogs, shattering any sense of control. In panic, the Southerners lost their order. Those who were used to driving animals now became the ones driven. Their leader fell among the first, as once the leader of the starving tribe had fallen under Ar's stone. Ar did not want to kill them all. He needed their stores, and he needed their hands. Those who dropped their weapons were bound with sinew thongs. Those who tried to run or kept fighting were killed quickly, without wasting strength. Victory did not come from legend, but from a combination of greater numbers, the effect of surprise, and the use of wolf behavior.
The Upper Paleolithic did not value gold or jewels. It valued whatever kept you alive. From the camp, they took dozens of prepared hides, greased with fat and water-resistant, sacks of dried meat, and bundles of fish bones, a sign the Southerners knew how to fish. Bone needles, stone knives, scrapers, tools that took hours or days to make. Amulets and ornaments of teeth, shells, and bone, symbols of status and hunting luck. And the Southerners themselves, captives, men and women who knew how to build, sew, and hunt. Ar understood the main point. Ar thinks, if we could take them this easily, then one day someone could take us just as easily. A strong camp is not only food, it is how you defend what you already have. And a new idea was born. One of those that would later lead to cities. They needed walls. They needed fortifications. They needed boundaries separating us from them.
Ar did not abandon the captured camp. He moved his own tribe there, from the old shelter under the rock to this new place where there was more space, better access to water, and structures already prepared. He did not release the captives. There was no word yet for slaves, but in essence, they were already doing the same work, performing hard, repetitive labor for someone else's survival. The Southerners were forced to drag heavy stones to the edge of the camp, build low walls that could slow both beasts and men, drive sharpened stakes into the ground, a first line of defense, strengthen the entrances to rock shelters so that one person could hold off several attackers. It was not yet a fortress, but it was no longer just a camp. To archaeologists, such places are recognizable. A dense concentration of bones, ash layers, and stone chippings speaks of long-term habitation, and lines of laid stones and pits suggest the first attempts at fortification. The three wolves ran along the new boundaries, stopping at fresh tracks, howling when their noses caught an unfamiliar scent. They had become part of the defense, just like human spears. The snow around was packed hard. Approaches to the camp were open and visible. Any movement was easier to spot. For the first time, a human camp looked like a place that could be held for more than one season. But with it came something new. Captives, fear, the power of one over many, based not only on authority, but on violence. Our inner voice. Wolves obey as long as they fear and as long as they are fed. People are the same. But both wolves and people may one day stop listening.
And once again, as always, history demands a choice. Path A, the city of the conqueror. Or may decide that power is what matters most. With wolves, walls, and captives, he can subdue more tribes. Each new raid would bring more people, more protected land, more stores, more complex fortifications. In one place, the first semblance of an Ice Age city could arise, not of cut stone, but of bone, wood, snow, and fear. A place where life is better for some and worse for everyone else.
Path B, a leash, not a whip. But R might see in the eyes of the captive's children the same thing he once saw in the eyes of the wolf cubs, fear without understanding. He might choose to tame people as he did predators, through food and protection, through shared work on the hunt, through an exchange of knowledge. To turn the conquered not only into labor, but into allies who would defend the walls not out of fear, but because their own children live behind them. It would be a first step towards what will one day become pastoral and settled cultures, where humans learn to manage both animals and people, not only by force, but by agreement.
Wolves have not yet become dogs. Walls have not yet become cities. And captives have not yet become slaves by law, only by force. But it is here that future empires are born. Here, for the first time, humans begin to understand that they can build not only traps for animals, but walls for people. And every decision R makes will live on for centuries.